Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I think we could call this meeting to order and I will do a quick roll call. I am here. Chris,
Here.
Sarah,
Here.
Beatrice, here. Patty is muted, but I know I saw her. Kari,
Here.
Wesley.
Here.
Did Nicole make it yet? Not yet. I know she's on her way though, so I'll just put her as tardy for now. And
Yes, I just admitted her.
there she is. Hi,
She's-
Nicole. Nicole is here, and Joseph is absent today. He is on assignment. Okay. Can I see a motion to approve the minutes from October 1st and October 16th?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Chris. Anyone second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Minutes are approved. Next, we're going to move on to the budget. Do I have any housekeeping before that? I don't think so. We're going to move on to the budget and I'm going to pass it off to Sarah. But I wanted to quickly address that when the budget, we're going to review it live together as a board. It has been gone over by our finance committee in multiple meetings and our headquarters staff. And now we're all going to go over it as a group and in public meeting. If we approve it today, then that final version will be uploaded to the budget documents. And this is the procedure that Sarah and Caroline have advised us to take, and I agree with them. So we're going to go from there. Sarah, I'll pass it off to you.
Thank you, Emily, and hello, everyone. I'm new to the board, so if there's anyone here who hasn't, I haven't met before, Sarah Catania, I'm a longtime journalist. I'm now president of the Solutions Journalism Network and really excited and grateful to be part of this board, living term as secretary treasurer. So we kicked off with two meetings of the finance committee, just to give y'all a little background and get you up to speed in case you're not aware.
Can you use your earphones?
Pardon?
I don't think that was for you. If you're
Okay.
not speaking, please mute yourself. Thanks.
Thanks, Emily. Zoom life, isn't it fun? So we've met, the finance committee's met twice. You'll recognize a bunch of folks on this call are actually a part of the finance committee. And I have deep gratitude to all of you. Thank you for stepping up to serve with me on this committee. That includes Nicole, Chris, Emily, Patty, and in addition, we have a couple other folks who are not on the board who are serving on the finance committee. That includes Matt Hall, who I think most of you probably know, and a newcomer who we're really delighted to have on this committee, Cheryl Estrada, who is a national finance reporter, a new member of SPJ, and brings a fresh outsider perspective to this process, which we really appreciate. We've also had tremendous support and expertise from Caroline, Courtney, and Jennifer. We really appreciate all the hard work you put into this process. It's been a lot of work at this time to get a budget that makes sense and is coherent. We really buckled in and spent 2 solid hours with strong questioning from all members of this committee about the board. We reviewed it ahead of time. We submitted questions. And we, as you can see, we have a ton of expertise. I mean, you know, between Patty, Nicole, Chris, there's just a lot of insight and expertise on this finance committee. We really wanted to make sure that our questions were addressed satisfactorily. And as we all know, the budget tells the story of the organization. And some of the key areas that we focused on were getting a clear understanding of the MOU with the foundation, which of course is our primary source of funding right now. And that's a model that we are very appreciative of, and also working really hard to move away from, to put ourselves on a path of financial independence and sustainability. We talked about Media Fest. We're all really excited that we're having a conference this year, and the possibilities for that, both for the visibility of the organization, strategic alignment, and of course, because we are the finance committee, how can this help support a healthier revenue path forward for us? We discussed our dismay over the continuing decline in membership and how that is very seriously affecting our bottom line. And we talked about how to right-size our expectations around that. And that's an open question and one that we're going to get more clarity on as the strategic process moves forward. We also discussed the grant and fundraising pipeline, what that looks like. It's pretty anemic at this point, but that's because historically that has not been a strong source of revenue for us. And that's something, again, once we have strategic clarity, we can really focus on moving that forward and getting a lot more energy behind that. And that was expressed clearly in our finance committee as an area of high interest and concern, as all of these things are. Lots of interests around the conference planning and future conference planning, lots of eagerness and excitement about revenue generation opportunities moving forward. And then at the end of the day, what Caroline shared with us and what Chris, Emily, and all of us really understand to be true is that getting clarity on our strategic alignment is going to be really important moving forward for our budget. And while we have this budget now, and at the end of our second meeting, which was yesterday, we all came to agreement and signed off on it. We think it's the right place for us to be right now. We also understand, and this is different, Patty pointed this out, this is different from in the past. We understand that there could be changes in this budget moving forward. So what we're looking at is a budget that as of right now is a solid, strong budget that accurately reflects our current situation and expectations. We are also in the process of a strategic plan, and there are other moving parts here. And you know, there's a grant proposal going on to press forward. There are other things that we just don't know how they're going to unfold. So we approved the budget, and Caroline helped us understand that we also need to be flexible. And we will, as a finance committee, commit to making sure that we are keeping close track, revisiting as needed any adjustments that are made, and making sure we come back to the full board with clarity about what's going on so that we can fully understand what those adjustments might be. That's it for the summary. In terms of a walkthrough, I've asked Caroline if she could do that part because she's the one who's been sitting with this most closely and can sort of give you that walkthrough, and then we can answer any questions.
Great. Well, I am sorry. I have a kind of a bad case of laryngitis, so I apologize for my very croaky voice today. I am so grateful to the entire finance committee for their diligence, their close attention, their passion for the organization. And I'm incredibly grateful to Sarah for her leadership, stepping right into this role. You know, has been, of course, active in Los Angeles, but this is, you know, this is new at the national level for her. And she has just stepped right in, done her homework, taken the bull by the horns. And I just couldn't be more grateful that we have a president of a, you know, esteemed national journalism support organization in this role for us. I think it's a great asset. And I'm very grateful, Sarah, to you for all the time and effort you put in, even at this moment where you're taking on a new role at Solutions Journalism Network. So I'm very grateful. I'm also extremely grateful to our part-time controller, Courtney, and she's put in a tremendous amount of work in collaboration with our foundation controller, our part-time controller there, Kaylee. Jennifer has been a big help on the budget. So a lot of work has gone into this. And as Sarah made clear, there's some key differences between this year, the 2025 budget and the 2024 budget. It's my first budget. You know, I came in May 1st. The budget already was in place, of course. But another big difference is that we're having a convention in 2025. So that is one of the biggest differences that you see in this budget versus the budget that we're wrapping up this year. So you'll notice that, again, you know, Sarah talked about this, the MOU funds from the foundation, this 4-year agreement that we have with the foundation. We just are wrapping up our first year of this agreement. We are going into year 2, and it's a runway that we have to work as a board, as an SPJ community, to get clearer about what our role in the journalism ecosystem is, what our value proposition is, and go out and get the kind of support that we all know we deserve to really thrive. So just getting into the details a little bit, you'll see that we did combine the projected revenues from MediaFest 25 into a single revenue line, and down in under the expenses, the same thing. We have MediaFest 2025 as the projected expenses for that. And I also, before I move on too much on the details, I want to say a big thank you to Sarah again for her input on the presentation of this budget. I think she made some great comments immediately that we implemented. One of her notes was, this alphabetized list of expenses just is not doing it for me. It's making us do too much work. And so, we reorganized, and again, working with our part-time controller, we reorganized it and put it into categories. So hopefully it's easier for you all to look down and see, personnel related expenses, other, operating expenses, awards and events, and other kind of miscellaneous expenses. So that's new this year, and I directly credit Sarah, and I'm very grateful. And again, the work of the committee, it's really been important. So you'll see under revenues, that MediaFest line, again, very different from this year. That, as you look across, that's the biggest thing. The membership dues, you'll see that it's more in line with our projected actuals than what the budget was this year. We've talked in previous meetings with the finance committee and the board that, not having a convention, we feel had a direct result on renewals of memberships, because people, didn't have that reminder, didn't have that incentive to renew their memberships. That said, people are renewing. Our projection for the dues revenue is based much more on what we're seeing this year, with some modest increase, but over actuals, but not over budget. And again, we can talk more about strategy there, which I think is downstream of organizational strategy. So the grants, some people had asked about that. We just got news, even since we sent the draft budget forward to the finance committee, that Kiplinger program for public affairs is renewing its support for the regional conferences, and we're going to be able to increase the amount this year. So we're really glad. We wish we could give more to the regional conferences. We hope to get there. We're trying to build that into grant proposals we have. But at this point, we are going to be able to offer those grants, increasing them from $250 per regional to $325. So we're pleased on that. That's sort of breaking news, and it's reflected in the grants line.
Caroline, that is fantastic news. Also, it's been noted in the chat that folks who are not on the board are not able to see what you're referring to or reviewing. Is it possible for you to share your screen while you're talking this through so folks can see the budget?
Let's see.
Or if someone on staff has it handy and could share it, that would be great.
Right, I have, this could probably work. Sure, let's see if this works. Okay, so, all right, so that now, I'm sorry, why is this not working? There we go, there we are. That should work. Let's see if y'all can see it.
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, so is it too small or can you actually?
I think that's
See.
good. Thank you.
Okay, good. So I was just talking a little bit about the revenue. You know, we have comparisons across, you know, last year's actual 2023, the proposed budget versus the 2024 actual projection. You know, looking at any variances, the 2024 budget versus the actual, the projection as of last month, and the 2024 budget, and then the proposed budget is this first line, the 2025 proposed budget. There you go. So that's the display. So you'll see, you know, very clearly that MOU funds, this is not the extent of the amount of funds that we're getting from the foundation. But the rest of the fund, this is sort of the extra MOU funds over and above the foundation's share of the various operating expenses for the organization. And in general, the share is roughly 35% of our costs. So that's why that number might look smaller than that, you know, the previous year, but that's only because the other expenses were less. The amount provided under the MOU doesn't vary. Oh, Patty must have gotten kicked out. I'll get her back in. Okay, so the overall amount doesn't vary. It just shows up in different parts of the budget. Okay, so I don't know if we should probably move on, you know, to personnel, that, you know, these expenses. We have the salaries line. Those are for our you know, full-time staff, and we have one part-time staffer. And then also it's important to note under that, we have a contractors line, and those are for very important people to our organization who are playing, they're contracted staff, but they're really integral to the organization. And I mentioned our part-time controller. I mentioned, and maybe I didn't mention, we have a staff accountant who does the more, you know, not the controller level work on accounting. That is through YPTC. And also Billy O'Keefe, who is our IT, our web administrator, and he's very busy with a lot of work that he does for us. You know, as you know, he's migrated the whole web site over to WordPress, and we're very happy about that. Much more modern. He's working hard on the new membership database, which we are going to be rolling out in the spring. So he's another really key person under the contractors. So, you know, these other personnel expenses, then we go into just more operating expenses. These are not nearly as large, as you can see. Getting down to the awards, these are, you know, miscellaneous costs for running the organization. The awards and events, you see Media Fest. This is our estimate of costs based on some, you know, history of looking at last year, 2023, looking at 2022 when we had Media Fest 2022 with the same partners, CMA and ACP. So this is very much, you know, line by line. It is based on what we think is the best projections, and we can talk about that. Some of it is, you know, that we have to be flexible, but we have built in, you know, the assumption that we'll get some sponsorships to pay for some of the work that some of the events that we're going to have. And if we don't, we may have to have some hard conversations about particular, you know, facets of the of the experience, but we're hoping and we're going to be working hard, and we're appreciative to the board. You're helping open doors to the extent that you can. So that's important. And then just looking down the other expenses, one of the things you'll note is in the past, we have not budgeted for grants from the Legal Defense Fund and the First Amendment Forever Fund. And so when those grants have been made, they show up as variances in the budget. This year, because we're undergoing the priorities process, we are sticking with the plan of not budgeting anything for those grants. But as Sarah said, we don't, we may have changes in the budget moving forward, depending on what comes out of the priorities process. As you'll see, we are forecasting a change in net assets of a little more than $90,000 at the end of the year. That, our revenues will exceed our expenditures by that amount. It's not a huge cushion, but it's somewhat of a cushion for us. We have a history before the MOU of unfortunately running pretty sizable deficits, very sizable deficits. And we are grateful that because of the support and investment that the foundation is making in us at this time, we don't foresee this for 2025. So I think I'll wrap that up now. And I guess I'll turn it back to you, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you, Caroline. Since we do have a fairly sizable representation of the Finance Committee here on the board, before we open it up to general questions, I'd just like to open it up to all of you in case anyone from the Finance Committee has anything you'd like to add to what Caroline and I have shared already. Any comments from anyone?
I'll just reiterate that this is a roadmap. It's not completely locked. Things are going to change, and we expect that. We expect fluctuations. But I'm happy that we at least have a guidepost, which this early in the term hasn't historically been a thing that the board has been able to pull off. So I'm just happy that we have something to refer to on paper and hopefully approve today.
Patty, please, yes.
I would likewise like to thank Sarah and Caroline and other folks for coming together to get this process to us at this time, on time. I think it's important to note that the conversations about funding, external funding, are live. They're going on right now. And that's why we agreed as a committee that we need the flexibility to make revisions in the first quarter and perhaps beyond that start to reflect some of the new dollars coming in. This is new for SPJ, right? We have not really relied on outside funders. We've relied on membership, we've relied on events and other sources traditionally. And so we are pivoting into a different reality under Caroline's leadership. And I think that's important to keep in mind. The other thing that I think we as a board need to keep in mind is that those MOU dollars come to an end, right? Those additional dollars come to an end in 3 years. And we're going to have to wean ourselves from that those additional dollars from the foundation at the end of that period, or this organization may not make it. And so, those were the ground rules by which we accepted the dollars and by which the foundation granted those extra dollars. So we have to be really cognizant of that and watch our spending carefully and make sure that we stage a convention that does not lose money and all those good things. But moving to find these new sources of dollars to help us be able to row our own boat absent the additional funding from the foundation at some, in 3 years from now. So thanks.
Very well said, Patty. Second all of that. And we're just really looking forward to seeing the strategic plan so we can really get focused and start working on that in earnest. Nicole.
I was going to say, I would also add that there's already been emails asking the board to take a more active role in seeking those convention sponsorships and exhibit hall exhibitors than from what I've understood has happened in the past. And that really excites me because if we all work together, I think that Media Fest can be really successful.
Yeah, I mean, as you saw in the budget walkthrough, the projected cost for Media Fest is not insignificant, and we really want to make sure we're doing everything, just like you said, Nicole, to make sure we're all doing our part to make it as much of a success as possible. Anyone else from the Finance Committee have anything you want to add before we open up the floor for questions? Okay. So I believe this is the part of our agenda where we do open it up to questions from anyone who would like to chime in. Please feel free.
I'm seeing
Well,
no board questions. Oh, please, Caroline, go ahead.
I see that Hazel Becker, hi Hazel, had put a question in. Hazel, if you want to pipe up, please do. I don't know if you talked about the revenue SPJ is expected to get due to the MOU. The total in the budget is the rolling average for 2025. The total number is 847,445. Now that the kind of the 504 is the difference between the rolling average and foundation. It's kind of the rolling average minus the foundation's portion of the FY25 operating expenses. You understand? So, and I can share this screen. This is perhaps answers the question.
Well, what I was trying to figure out is we're left with the 91,000, and I believe you said at the end of your presentation that we need to do a lot better than that to be on track to when the MOU ends. And I was looking for that number at the top that's included as revenue in this year's budget due to the MOU. Was that the 504 number you
Yes.
just said?
Yes.
Okay, that's helpful to me to know that. Thank you. By the way, he sits back there and I sit here and we don't talk during the meeting, just so you'll know.
I've always wondered that configuration. Thank you for sharing. I think that's it for any other board questions about the budget. Seeing none, so I think we could put this to a vote. Do I have a motion to approve the budget?
Motion
I'll
to
make it.
approve the budget.
Okay, Beatrice makes it. Wesley, would you like to second it?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, this unanimously is approved. Thank you so much, everyone. I've lost my agenda, but I know we only have one other hard item, which is our strategic update. I've found my agenda. Okay. Let's see. Okay, before we do this, because this is going to be an executive session, I'll just do some light housekeeping. Number one, Chris has been checking in with all of our committees and getting committee reports from everyone. Because this is our first meeting with committee reports since this new board took over, it's a lot of just sort of rolling out and getting our footing straight. So we will add those notes after the meeting, but there's it's a lot of finding logistics, setting rosters. Moving forward in our meetings, we'll have more formal committee reports. Chris,
Yeah.
is there anything you wanted to add or any touch points that
Yeah, essentially 3 or 4 of the committee chairs got back to me, and it's what you said. We're getting our rosters together. We're slowly getting things in order. We're putting our mission. So, and I have that documented in one sheet that I sent to Emily. The other larger, bulkier notes are from, of course, the finance committee, which you literally just heard all of the notes that would have been. It basically recapped the 2 meetings that we had. So we'll have them anyway. I'll put them in the whatever shared document drive for everyone to review. As Emily alluded to, after the new year, after people get into 2025, most of the committees will be set, the rosters will be set, and they'll actually be acting upon it. There was a little movement with the awards committee. They're pretty active throughout different pockets of the year. So I captured some of their notes as well. But yeah, a lot of just getting things in order as people get ready for 2025. And you'll see that in the document I put together.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And thank you to all of our committee and community leaders for all the work that you're doing. Another housekeeping note, board members, I want to put these days on your calendar sooner than later for future board of director meetings. Chris and I want to tell you Wednesday, March 5th, Wednesday, June 4th, and Wednesday, September 3rd, all at 3 p.m. tentatively. Those are sort of penciled in. I'll put them in the chat as well. Email me and Chris and tell me if that just absolutely does not work for you, and we will go from there. But if I hear nothing by the end of the year, then that will be our set schedule for the next few board meetings, obviously barring emergency meetings or time-sensitive things. And then we will aim to meet as many of us in person as possible at Media Fest, but that will be a much quicker, more informal sort of meeting. All of our proper housekeeping will happen at these ones. Okay, and finally, just yes, Sarah.
Can you remind us the dates of Media Fest so everybody's aware of when that is?
Yes, I had those handy and now I have lost them. I believe it's October 15th through 19th. Caroline, can you tell me if that's right or if I'm complete? Yes, 15th through 19th.
That is correct. That is correct.
Of
Yes.
2025. So pencil that in, that will be in DC. We would obviously love to have as many of you there in person as possible. You do have small board stipends that can hopefully cover some of that and help with it. So we will talk moving forward, but pencil those dates in and I will drop that in the chat as well. Finally, Giving Tuesday was a success and our end of year fundraising campaign continues to truck along. So thank you for if you've already donated. If you haven't, please plan to, so we can show unity and solidarity for our organization. Okay. And with that, I will, oh, one more thing. We are doing this next part in executive session, but after that, there is no more stuff. So even though for formality's sake, we will come back out of executive session into general meeting, if you are a general viewer, I pinky promise you will not miss anything. We will record the little end all, but there will be nothing to miss. So if you just want to hop off when we go into executive session, you can hop off and be at peace that you have not missed anything. I promise. Okay, with that.
Emily,
Yeah.
before we move on, I just wanted to add, our plan for the finance committee is to schedule those meetings between 1 week and 2 weeks prior to each of the general board meetings. And we will post those meetings on the website. So if folks want to come and sit in, all are welcome. All SPJ members are welcome to come and, sit in on those meetings. And we will get those posted well in advance so people have time to plan if they'd like to sit in on those meetings.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, with that, I will hand it off to Caroline.
Thank you. Thank you so
Excuse
much.
me.
Oh,
Sorry to jump in. I believe if we're going into executive session, we need a motion to do that.
Well, I think we're okay, I've teed it off to Caroline. Caroline, can you tell us what we're doing and tell the general public what we're doing, and then we'll go into executive session, please.
Oh, I'd be happy to. We are having a briefing for the board of directors on our progress to date in the strategic priority setting process. we were very lucky to be able to engage our consultants, Community Wealth Partners, Amy Slepp and Jahira Otieno, both of who are on the call. And we are very lucky that we received a funding from Lumina Foundation for roughly half of the cost of our engagement, and the rest from the foundation, the SPJ Foundation. And so we're so grateful for that. It's essential work for trying to determine what is the unique value proposition for SPJ. What is our most impactful role in the journalism ecosystem? So we've been doing work on that with a core team, and we announced that in Leeds. We let folks know about the process, and we told who was on the team. And we've been very grateful for the hard work that the team has put in. And now we are going to have a confidential discussion about where the priorities process stands so far, and so that's what's happening. And let me know if you have
Thank
any
you.
questions.
Thank you so much for that. So with that, now I will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Thank you, Patty. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Thank you, Beatrice. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we will move into executive session. Thank you, general members, for being here. And I promise there's nothing else. Okay. We're here, right? This is just in case, but if it's perfect. Thank you. We've exited executive session where we talked about strategic planning from an overhead view. Thank you so much for your contributions, and more to come. And now I'd like to entertain a vote to adjourn this meeting. No one wants to leave. Chris is motioning to adjourn this meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Wesley. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Seeing none, thank you all so much. And we were only 3 minutes over time.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks,
you all. I appreciate your time. Take care.
Great
All right.
job.
Thank you, Caroline. Thanks for everything. Thank you, Jennifer. We did it.